This is a video about being stalked, and I'm making this to assure that if anything happens to me that there is a recording of what's happening and why I think it's happening. I've got plenty of information from age 3 to now about how stalkers use tricks and drugs to manipulate and hurt people. I've been stalked from the age of 3 years old and hurt in sexual ways with the use of drugs. They have got this in aerosol form and have been using it on me while I've been going to school and college. Every time I try and learn things at school, I've been falling asleep when I've had enough sleep and going out to pubs under the age of 18, and I've had my drinks drugged and ended up in a stupor over 1 or 2 drinks, or a few drinks that won't make you drunk, but I've ended up falling over like I've been drinking all night. So I know that people in the bars drug the drinks. I've also found this happening as I've got older because I've been more observant of people around me. I've found powder around drinks that have been opened by staff. I've had people in restaurants, when it's only the staff left over, using aerosol kosh. I know this because I have logged down all the effects that it has on me, and it only affects me as long as the people are around me. They have some very nasty chemicals that they spray in the air using aerosols. As I don't do it myself, I don't know exactly how they're getting it into the air, but I know that when they are using it, the only visible effect is sweating. I've had this done by policemen, people in restaurants. A lot of places I've gone to, people have come into the shop and used it, or it's been security staff that have used it on me, or in normal shops where you go and get your food, like your everyday shopping. I've had staff come up to me and also at the tills use this kosh mixture of drugs that make you forget and make you unbalanced and makes you sweat as well. What makes me sweat, so I know when they're around me they have to be quite near to make me sweat profusely from this aerosol weapon. So I know when people try and get close to me, it's unusual, especially if you're in a shop. People don't come that close to you. People like to keep their distance, and they like to have their personal space, but I don't get that. So I've had this done by security guards who are very confident when they do it, even if I say to them I know what they're doing and the effects are visible, they still carry on. So the fact that they're confident gives me the idea that they've done it before to other people, and perhaps it's worked for much longer than it works on me. As I think I've already said, it only works on me for as long as they're around me, so I know who's using it and when they're using it. Some of the stuff that they use is very toxic, and I say that only because it has a pain effect on my body and only lasts for as long as they're around. Once I've got out of the area or away from that person, the pain or sweating will go away. They've done this from the cars and also when I'm on the tube. I've had people follow me into the tube, into restaurants, and whilst I'm eating, using these various chemicals that have particular effects, so I know which one they're using as well. There's several that I've noticed so far, some more dangerous, I would say, than others. But the one they use the most is what I've found out on the internet is kosh, which is a mixture of drugs that you can get from the doctors. So I presume that these people have connections with doctors and police, because these are the type of people that use this type of drugs on prisoners and patients. But what they're using it for is a lot more devious and dark. They are, I feel, only using it because they want to hide the fact that I know about people in authority that have abused me as a child, and they don't want people to find out what I know. So I believe they're stalking me and trying to drug me to stop me from getting this information out and getting out of this dark situation that they've put me in. Basically, they've got me trapped with stalking me, and any time that I go out and try and get help, they'll use this aerosol weapon with kosh or other toxic substances to stop me from being able to talk to somebody. They've used things like LSD, which I know because it stops you from being able to read. I know this only because I took it once when I was 14, and I remember that it stops you from seeing letters and numbers as they are. You won't be able to read them. So it's not been used a lot, but it has been used a few times. I noticed one time in the cinema that it was being used because I was looking at the exit sign and I could read it at the beginning, and then throughout the film I looked at the exit sign again and I couldn't read it. It started to look like a foreign language to me, which I know that's the effect of LSD. So they've used that a few times, but I don't think they use it a lot because it's quite an obvious effect. The other things aren't so obvious. You might blame it on because you're running or walking fast or whatever. But I'm very observant and aware of what happens to me and what I'm doing, so I know how much exercise it takes to make me sweat. So being in a shop for 5 minutes doesn't make me sweat, and I've been in many shops for 5 minutes and ended up sweating like I've been in the gym for like 2 hours pushing weights or running on the treadmill. So that effect is quite obvious. The other effects are painful, so I presume that's something more toxic like a chemical. And I've had effects of cyanide poisoning, vomiting and nausea, headache, which comes from cyanide poisoning, which is used for killing insects. So I know that the stuff that they use is easily available and in small amounts can make you very ill. Might not kill you in a small amount, but it will make you very ill for a while. And I presume that's what they're after, to keep me ill so I can't get out of this horrible situation and get help. When I have done, corrupt police and doctors have prevented me from getting full access to the service so I can get help. And I have complained about my illness and about things that have happened to me without much help being given. And I have explained my illnesses very well to the point where they should know that it's not a normal thing that I'm going through, and the things that I explain don't correspond with any normal illness. So I've been ignored by the doctors, I've been ignored by the police, and other help organisations, I believe, have people in there that are spying to find particular people like me who will give information about child abusers and rapists and their nasty tricks. Because on trying to go to help organisations, I think due to them spying on me, they've been able to interfere with the phone calls. I don't know how exactly, but I seem to get people who don't know what they're talking about half the time. So I end up hanging up on them. A few times I've had it with other places and ended up hanging up, and after a few hang-ups I ring back and I get someone who knows what they're doing or isn't connected to these horrible people who are stalking me. So that's what gives me suspicion, that with their spying and having somebody perhaps in the organisation, they're able to block me from getting help and from people helping me. So my main problem is getting rid of the stalkers and the spies. If I get rid of them, I can get help. But at the moment, I've not been able to do it, and I've had to endure being poisoned every day by aerosol weapons. They're doing it at my house, pushing it through the door, doing it outside my window, and every time I go out I'm being stalked on the train, on the bus, when I'm walking outside, by cars and people on the street who use these aerosol weapons to hurt me, to make me ill, so that I cannot get help and I cannot get out of this very nasty situation that they've trapped me in. So if there is any help that you know of that I can get in contact with, I'd much appreciate it. And I'll be posting more videos up giving away their nasty little secrets. So keep watching if you want to know more about how they trick people and hurt vulnerable people like me and children, which they've done to me from the age of 3 and they're continuing to do now. So that's the end of the post today, well, for now, and I'll be posting more later.